All right, Patriots, I know this has been a short unit with only 3 lessons in it, but we're going to go ahead and move on to their review so you guys can do the test and do excellent at it. Now, remember, the best way to use this video is not to just sit there and copy down everything I'm doing, but to go through, struggle through, try, make some mistakes, and then come back and get some help on individual problems when you need it. Because remember, copying doesn't help you get better at things, and it doesn't matter whether you're copying off of a friend's paper, off of a group chat, or off of me on this video. Copying doesn't help. Struggling through it and then getting help later to fix your problems does. So that being said, let's go through here. I've got my handy dandy calculator up just in case I need it. I have no idea yet if I will. I just like to be prepared. So at the beginning here, let's go ahead and review a couple things. 3 major forms. 2 of them are written right here, forms of line, slopes, intercepts. M is your slope. Steepness is what it's going to stand, or what it means. And M, think of movement. I haven't actually used that until now, but I actually like that. M is for movement. Y-intercept, B, is where it begins on the axis. And then point slope, again, M is the slope. And point X1, Y1, make sure you're changing the signs when you put it in there. So first off, what is the equation in slope-intercept form of a line whose slope is 3 and whose y-intercept is 0, -5? So I'm going to jump in and do y equals mx plus b. So y equals m is 3 over 1, and b is -5. All right, number 2, a cart starts 20 miles from his house. Now, when I see this starts 20 miles from the house, that tells me that is a starting point or a beginning value, and travels at a speed of 65 miles per hour. Again, that word per there tells me that that is a rate or a slope. Write a relationship to describe the distance d from the home traveled at time traveled t. So when it gives us variables like this, we're not going to be using x and y. We're going to be using, in this case, d and t. Now, since it says miles per hour, that means that the miles is going to be, or the slope is going to be tied to the time because it's per hour. So t is going to be our kind of x value there. So really the equation we're going to be getting here is d equals mt plus b. Notice that it's the exact same thing with a d and a t instead of an x and a y. So I'm going to do d equals, now my rate here is 65 t, and then I've got a plus 20. Make that look actually more like a t there. Okay. Jacob makes $14.50 an hour and gets paid commission. After working 14 hours, he made $253. Write an equation to represent this situation. Okay, what do we got here? So we've got $14.50 an hour. That's a rate. And then over here, I've got 14 hours and $253. That looks like that's an ordered pair to me. 14 hours and $253. That means this is actually going to be a point slope scenario, because here's my point in green, and then I've got my slope over there in purple. So we've got y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. I'm going to write y minus equals x minus. And now let's go ahead and put our slope in. We got 4. Let me scoot that over a little bit so we can fit it all in the right spot. 14.50. Get my equal mark back in there. And now y1 is going to be my $253. And my x1 is the x coordinate, which is 14. Okay, number 4. Graph shows number of cookies eaten compared to the number of Brussels sprouts eaten. So let's look. We've got cookies and sprouts. So we got cookies eaten and Brussels sprouts eaten. It looks like as we eat cookies, we're also eating Brussels sprouts, which makes no sense to me because Brussels sprouts are gross. Very healthy, but gross. Okay, write an equation to represent this situation. So we need a y-intercept, a starting value, which looks like crosses here at 0, 0. So I've got b equals 0, 0. And now I need a slope. Looks like I've got this point and this point. I'm just picking two. And so as my, let's see, from 12 to 18, that's going to be a run of 6. And then from 20 to 30, my rise is 10. So my slope here is 10 over 6. I want to simplify that fraction. Looks like they both have a 2 in common as a common factor. So that gives me 5 over 3. So my equation is in the form y equals mx plus b. So y equals, m is 5/3, and then my b is 0. So you could write that as just y equals 5/3 x because we don't have to write plus 0. Okay, what does the slope mean in this situation? So it looks like my slope here is 5 over 3. And now let's go and put labels on these. So that is, the rise is Brussels sprouts. I'm going to use BS. It's BS. I like that. Okay. Like I said, Brussels sprouts are gross. Okay. And then 3 cookies. So our interpretation here would be that 5 Brussels sprouts are eaten for every 3 cookies eaten. Okay, what is the equation of a line that goes to the points -4, 9? Oh, that's a different problem. Okay, that was 4, and then now we got 5 that starts there. Okay, what is the equation of a line that goes through the points of -4, 9 and -8, 12? Now remember, we're going to make an XY chart out of this. And we've got -4, 9, -8, 12. Let's do our rise and our run. Our delta y, or the rise from 9 to 12, we have to add 3. To go from -4 to -8, we're going to subtract 4, which then means that my slope is, well, rise over run, 3 over -4. And I could put the negative sign on top or bottom. Remember, it doesn't matter where a negative sign is in the fraction. It's still just negative. Now, since I've got points here, I'm going to be using my point slope formula. Y minus, use black, sorry. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Now, when I do this, it does not matter which point I choose. I'm going to use this first one. And I'll just plug them into the right spots. So m is -3 over 4. And then for y1 and x1, y1 is 9, and x1 is -4. And again, I've already got a negative, so the other negatives can become the crossbar on the plus, -4. All right, number 6. The cost to repair a car is shown in the graph. I'm going to write an equation to represent the graph. Well, we're going to need a slope and a y-intercept. So right here, my y-intercept looks like my b value is at 0, and then it happens at 50. Now my slope, write this down here. So b equals 50. Now my slope is rise and run. So I'm running 1, and I'm rising here from 50 to 100. That is 50. So it's 50 over 1. So the equation of my line, y equals mx plus b, would be 50x plus 50. Okay, identify the y-intercept and describe its meaning. Well, let's see. Looks like I've got cost. So we got cost to repair a car. Y-intercept at time equals 0. I mean, that's our beginning or our starting cost. So the y-intercept here, we already did that above, I guess, was 0, 50. And its meeting, that is the, I guess, the minimum charge. To fix a car. Okay, minimum because that's the lowest he's willing to charge. Okay. All right, number 8. At a concert, floor seats cost $55. Balcony seats cost $35. Write an equation to represent the possible number of tickets that can be purchased for $600. Okay. This one looks like I've got 2 different rates here because I got floor seats costing $55 each, and then also balcony seats costing $35 each, and I've also got a total of $600. Remember, 2 rates and a total. That's going to be a standard form equation, and we like to use variables that have meaning in standard form when possible. So I'm going to see floor will be F, and then balcony will be B. So I'm going to do 55 floor plus 35 balcony is going to equal my total, which is 600. So there is my equation. Okay, number 9, a 100-point test has X questions worth 3 points each. Again, that looks like 3 points each is a rate there. And Y questions worth 5 points each. Write an equation to represent the total number of each type of question. Okay, so I've got 2 rates, but then I got to decide where's my total. And in this case, it's the total number of points on the test is 100. So also my variables are X and Y. So those actually make sense in context. So it looks like I've got 3x plus 5y and then equals my total of 100. Okay, now number 10. Remy family bought 6 sandwiches and 4 salads. They spent $32. Now that looks like a total to me. Let X be the cost of a sandwich and Y be the cost of a salad. Write an equation to represent this situation. Okay, so in this case, we've got, here we've got our rate matched with our quantity, and here we've got our rate matched with our quantity. Oh, I guess Y would be the cost of a salad. So we're going to do 6x, because that's what they wanted. I probably would have preferred S, but they gave me the X. And then plus 4y, and that's going to equal 32. Again, 2 rates and a total makes standard form. Okay, write a slope of the line that is parallel and perpendicular to the given line. Now remember, parallel slopes, have the same slope. Perpendicular has opposite reciprocal slope. So over here, whenever I do my parallel slope, whenever I look at this, here it's 7. So slope is just 7 over 1. Now my reciprocal slope, I'm going to take that fraction 7 over 1, flip it upside down, and change the sign from positive to negative. Number 12, again, I've got 1/2 as my slope. So parallel is exactly the same thing. M equals 1/2. Perpendicular, I'm going to flip that upside down, make the reciprocal 2 over 1, and then change that to be negative. Okay, now 13 is a bit tricky. Be careful with it because here the slope is not 13. Remember, slope is always the coefficient of x. In this case, it is this value right here, which is a negative 1x. So my parallel slope is, actually, sorry, I've been doing those in green, negative 1 over 1. Now, my perpendicular slope, well, if I take 1 over 1 and flip it upside down, I still get 1 over 1. However, it was negative. I got to make it opposite sign, so it's positive. Positive 1 over 1 or positive 1. Okay. 14. Determine whether each pair of linear equations are parallel, perpendicular, or intersecting. And once again, let's remember that this intersecting means that they intersect, but not at perpendicular angles, not at a right angle. So as I look at this, look at my two slopes, here I've got nothing written there, which means that my slope is 1, and I want to make those a fraction. Over here, I've got, again, my negative x, which means that my slope is negative 1 over 1. And let's see, if I take 1 over 1 and flip it upside down, I still get 1 over 1, and it's negative, so that's opposite reciprocal, which makes them perpendicular. Okay, on this one, I've got a slope of 3. And make that 3 over 1. Here, I've got a slope of negative 1/3. And again, looks like they are reciprocals. And one's negative, one's positive, which makes them perpendicular. Okay, 3/7 is my first slope. Then my second slope is 7/3. Now, it looks like I have the reciprocal part, so I got 3/7, 7/3. They've been flipped upside down. However, I have two positives, so I don't have a negative. That means that these guys are not, they're not parallel because they're not the same. They're not perpendicular because they're both positive. These are just intersecting. Okay, 17. Which equation is parallel to y equals 3x? Now, I'm going to use process of elimination here because I have multiple choice. Now, if it's parallel to, that means my slope has to equal positive 3 over 1. So let's go through here and look at them. A has got a negative 3. That means it can't be it. The slope has to be 3. Here I've got positive 3. That's good. Here I've got negative 1/3. Well, that's not 3. And then here I've got another slope of 3. Okay, that's good. Now, I wanted to go through the point 0, negative 4. Now, that's a y-intercept, so that means that my b value is negative 4. Well, here my b is positive 4, so that can't be it. Here my b value is negative 4. Looks like my answer is D. Okay, 18. Which equation is perpendicular to the line y equals 3x? Okay, here my slope is 3. So my perpendicular slope, again, that's 3 over 1. We're going to flip it upside down, make the reciprocal 1/3. And now this was positive. We need opposite reciprocal, so it's going to be negative 1/3. Again, let's use process of elimination here and cross out what we need, or what can't work. Here we've got positive 1/3. We're looking for a negative 1/3. That can't be it. Here I've got negative 1/3. That's good. Negative 1/3 is good. Here we got negative 3. Again, it's negative, but it's not a reciprocal, so that does not count. Okay, also we've got the point 0,5, which is a y-intercept, so b equals positive 5. C has got a negative 5, so that doesn't count. B is my right answer with a positive 5 y-intercept. Okay, now this section, notice how all of my lines have just y equals and x equals with no extra variables in them. This is where we're talking about horizontal and vertical. That's where we did in our notes, hoi vux. Horizontal lines have a 0 slope and y equals. Vertical lines have an undefined slope, x equals. Okay, so let's look at this. If I have got y equals, that comes into this section here, that's hoi, so that this means the slope is 0. Now, to graph the line, I'm going to go to y equals -1 and put a horizontal line right there through y equals -1. Okay, x equals -3. X equals is vux, that is a vertical line with an undefined slope. To graph the line, I go over to -3, 1, 2, 3. So with an undefined slope, we have a vertical line because it's in that vux category. So we're going to go over to x equals -3 and draw our vertical line. And there we go. All right. Y equals -4. Y is in the hoi. So that is a horizontal line with a slope of 0. So I'm going to go down to -4 on the y-axis and draw a horizontal line. Okay, x equals 3, that is my vux, which means it's a vertical line, and the slope is undefined. So that means I'm going to go over to 1, 2, 3 on the x-axis, and then draw a vertical line. All right, we are only 21 minutes in, and we are on the last page, making progress. Okay, so write the equation that models each table. Now remember, our game plan here is we got to find the slope every single time. Then we got to decide, is there a y-intercept, which happens when x equals 0. If there's a y-intercept, we're going to be using, if there is a y-intercept, we're using slope-intercept, y equals mx plus b. If there's not a y-intercept, then we're just going to use point slope with any point on the table, doesn't matter which one. So first off, let's do our slope from -1. Actually, you know what? I've been doing these in green and blue just to keep up with that. From -1 to 1 is 2. And from -1 to 0 is 1. So my slope here is change in y, which is 2, over change in x, which is 1. So my slope is 2 over 1, it does not reduce. And I look at this and I see x equals 0, which means my y-intercept is 1. So I'm using y equals mx plus b. My b value is 1. So I've got y equals m is 2 over 1x plus 1. Now for number 24. Let's see. I'm going to do my slope from there to there, 1 to -4. Looks like I am going to be subtracting 5. From -3 to 2, I am adding 5. So my slope, you know what, let me separate this out. My slope is -5 over 5, which reduces to -1 over 1. Now, I don't have a y-intercept here because there is no x equals 0. So I'm using just y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Let's go ahead and scaffold that problem out. And pick any point you want. I'm going to choose, let's use -3 and 1. So my slope is 1 over 1, and my y, or my y1 is 1, my x1 is plus 3. Well, when we change the sign because the negative went there on the crossbar, becomes positive. Change the sign. Okay, number 25. Now again, we got horizontal and vertical tables here. My delta y from 6 to 1 is minus 5. My delta x from negative 4 to 1 is 5. And then my slope will be m equals rise, delta y is negative 5 over run is 5, which reduces to negative 1 over 1. Now, for my intercept, here I've got y equals 0, but that's a x-intercept, not a y-intercept. I don't have a y-intercept, so pick any point you want. It does not matter. I'm going to go with just my first one there. So we've got y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Y minus equals x minus. Put my slope of negative 1 over 1 in. And then y is 6. And then negative 4. (26) Write an equation of a line that passes through negative 3, 5 and has a slope of negative 1/2. Okay, so my slope is negative 1/2. Passes through the point. I'm just going to copy this down again because my marker kind of got in the way there. Looks like we're going to be using point slope for this. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Y minus equals parentheses x minus. Okay, slope is negative 1/2. Y1 is negative 5, and again that negative sign is going to become the crossbar. And then we've got negative 3, again that becomes the crossbar as well. So, thing to keep in mind there, you always end up switching signs whenever you write in point slope form. Now, what is the equation in point slope form of the line that goes through this graph? Okay, first off, I'm going to need a slope. So let's go through and find 2 points that it goes through. Looks like I've got this point here. No. This point right here. So my rise is 1, 2, 3. My run is 1, 2, 3, 4. So my slope is going to be rise over run is 3 over 4. And let's make sure we evaluate every time we look at a graph, evaluate positive or negative slope. As we're going from left to right, it's rising, so we have a positive slope. Now, the reason that this problem asks for it in point slope form is because we don't have a nice y-intercept there. So all we're going to do is pick one point on the graph. It doesn't matter which. I'm going to choose this point here, and that has an x-coordinate of 2 and a y-coordinate of 5, and use that as my x1, y1. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Y minus x minus. Let's plug in our slope of 3/4. Now y1 is 5. X1 is 2. Could have used any other point on the graph. Doesn't matter which. Hey, only 2 more. Was the equation of a line, and I see this word right here, perpendicular to, tells me that I am going to need opposite reciprocal slope. So right here, my slope, m, equals 4 over 1. So my opposite reciprocal slope is going to be m is negative 1 over 4. Remember, reciprocal, flip it upside down, makes us have 1 over 4. Opposite makes it be negative 1, or negative. Now it goes to the point 0, 9. This is a y-intercept, so my y-intercept b value is 9. So the equation of my line is y equals m negative 1/4 x plus b is plus 9. All right. Last problem. What is the equation of the line parallel to? Now, parallel to means same slope. So I look at this and I see that my slope is 4/1. Now I've again got that exact same y-intercept as before, so my b value is 9. And so I've got the equation y equals 4/1x plus 9. All right, that's it for our review. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions on this. Shoot me an email, see me in class, stop by for office hours. Ask me questions before the test rolls around. We want you guys ready so that you do good the first time around and don't have to worry about retests. So that's it. You guys have a great day.